Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be pruning up a lot of small trees that are started from seed or cuttings, pruning them up for basic structure, getting them ready for spring. I'm going to start today on my Rose of Sharon. This was grown from a seed by Derek in the Toronto Club, and he gave it to me as a small seedling, and it's been growing really well. I remember years back when I was getting into bonsai, there was an article that said Rose of Sharon is not a bonsai. You can't bonsai Rose of Sharon, but they're fantastic trees. Nice fine growth. It flowered this summer. It was a really nice tree to grow as a bonsai. So today I'm going to prune it up for the basic structure. Here is a look at the tree. So here's the front, coming around to the right hand side, the back, the left-hand side, and back to the front. So you can see the new growth. It did quite well this summer, despite the heat. I did get one branch die off here, but all the others survived. So I'll just prune it back, making it more compact. So here's the front of the tree. I'll start by removing that dead branch. That's gone. So the tree comes up, it has kind of a double trunk, and I want to grow it into a broom style canopy. So you can see on the branches where the buds are. You can see there's little, I don't know if they're thorns. I guess not really. I guess maybe they are thorns. But there's an outward facing bud here. There's a couple here, there's one here. I think I'll start by pruning it to this outward facing one here. Maybe, let me see. I don't really want it growing straight out the front, so maybe I'll go to this lower one. I'll prune halfway between the inner nodes, leaving a bit of a stub for dieback. This branch here, I can prune. There's a bud on the bottom, there's one on the top, there's one coming out the front. So I want this branch to reach up. So I'm thinking, I think if I prune it to this one pointing down, it's too long, so I'm going to go to here. Like that. This one coming out the front here, I've got a bud on the outside here, so I'll prune just above there. This branch coming out the back, I've got a good bud here and one here, so I'll prune just above there. And then we're going up top here. I've got a stub in the middle I can clean out here. Get in there. There. And this one, it fans up quite nicely. I've got a bud here and one here. I think I'll take it off here. This one could come off to here. And the one out the back, do I want that is the question. It kind of, there's nothing, it grows out into this space where there's no branches below. So I think I will keep it. There's a bud on the outside here, so I'll prune it off to here. Like that. It's possible that could come off in the future, but I think for now it's okay. And then these branches out the back, I have a stub here I can prune off. And then I've got kind of a vertical one. I'll want one. It kind of is growing above this lower branch. I think I'm going to go off here. Prune it to here. I've got a bud on the outside, one on the inside there. And that leaves me with one more branch, this one. I've got buds on the outside here. I think I'll take it off here. Like that. That's got it all pruned up. You can see on the tips there's green, so all the branches were alive. Now I could seal them up, but I don't think I need to because I've left a stub and they're not big cuts. So we'll take another look at the tree. I'll rotate it around. So here is the tree from the front, coming around to the right hand side, the back, and there's Kitty, the left hand side, and back to the front. So that should grow quite well next year. The next tree I'm going to be pruning up is my cherry tree, and I think this is it a Romeo or a Juliet cherry, one of the two. Kind of a small shrubby cherry tree. So lots of strong growth on it this year. I did get this branch died off, so I can prune that away. I think there's a branch here that died off, a couple of small ones here. So let's start by pruning away all the dead branches. So I will come in and just prune away the deadwood. And I'll definitely seal that cut up. So that's one dead branch. There's another one here. There's the tip of this one. There's a bud active down below, so I'll just keep a stub. There's a little one here that died off. And there's one up here. There's a stub here I can clean up. And a stub here. Now, has that got all the dead branches pruned away? Oh, there's another stub here. That died off. And I can clean up a stub on top here. And I think this trunk line died off, yeah. So that's gone. I think everything else is alive. Yeah. So I got a new little sucker come up from the root system. Don't think I want that. I just want to grow it as a single tree, so I'll remove that also. That is gone. Now, I don't think I picked a front for this tree. It would make sense to have the thickest trunk coming kind of forward. Maybe something like that. It kind of leans back, but there's another stub in here I could clean up. Like that. Yeah, the front of this tree is a bit of a well, I'll start pruning. There's a branch here that's awkward. It comes up, divides from 1 to 3, and this one's going across the tree, so I'll take that one out totally. That one's gone. This one's shooting straight up. I do have, there's a small bud here, there's one here, and there's one here. There is another bud at the base of that branch, which would be nice to develop. I think if I prune it up to this outward facing bud, it's too long and straight, so I'm going to take it off to here, like that. And then the other branch, I've got a good bud facing outwards here, so I'll take it off just above there, like that. That branch is looking okay. It's pretty vertical looking, but this branch, yeah, I've got an outward facing bud up here. It's getting pretty tall and straight if I leave it that length, but
That might be my best option there. This branch, it comes out and it divides from 1 to 1, 2, 3, 4. So which one? I think this back one doesn't flow. It kind of goes back in towards the center of the tree, so we can take that one out. And then this one's a little vertical, so I'll take this one out. And then I can prune this one back. And I'll leave this one alone, it's just small. Then if I continue up this branch, I've got a bud facing outwards here, a vertical one there. I better go to that bud facing outwards. And this one has an outward facing bud here. I'll go to there. And then it kind of divides from 1 to 3 there. So because this one is not very flowing and it's kind of growing over top of the lower one, I'll take this one out. Keeping that dividing from 1 to 2. There's one here growing back in across the tree. I'll take that one out. This one also, I'll take that one out. And then here I've got a bud at the back, one at the front down low. I'll take it off here. This one I have a bud here facing outwards. Take it off there. And then do I want that vertical one? It kind of divides from 1 to 2 here, and this is kind of a third one, so I'll take that vertical one out. Like that. That kind of gets a spreading branch structure. So now I'll come up to the tallest part of the tree. I can prune, there's a downward facing bud here. I'll prune it off to there. These branches are small, I can leave those alone. And then at the top it divides from 1 to 3. So I think if, somewhere around here is the front of the tree, I would be wise to take off probably that back one. That's what I'm thinking. It kind of grows back in on the tree. Yeah, I think that one better come out. So off it goes. And I've got a long one out the back here. I've got a vertical bud here and one that's fanning out to the back. I'll take it off here. Now my two upright leaders here, I've got a bud on the inside, one on the outside. I'll take it off to there. And this one, I have a bud on the inside and one on the outside, so I'll take it off to there also. So that's got the tree pruned up, compact. So now I've got to look at the styling of it and decide if there's anything else I want to do to it. So there's a look at the tree. I think maybe here would make a nice front. And it could change as it grows and develops. But I think that's fairly reasonable. I don't think I'd want to do, I could remove this upper branch here, flattening this branch out, but I think for now, while the tree's young, I'll just let it develop and see what grows in. And kind of pick, style it more in the future. Maybe remove some branches and that, but I think for now I'm going to leave it as it is. So I'll mark this as the front, just for reference. So maybe when I repot it, I'll straighten the tree out a bit. It's kind of leaning towards the back. So I'll get a loop of wire and put it in as the front of the tree. Now I said I was going to seal up those cuts, so I will. Where is that big one here? There's one up here I can seal. Just sealing the bigger cuts. fruit trees are always susceptible to fungal infections, so it's a good idea to seal your cuts just to make sure nothing's entering the wounds. Yeah, I think that's good there. Okay, so that is the cherry tree. Now I haven't had this flower, maybe because I'm pruning it all the time, but maybe someday it will. The next tree I'll be pruning up is this American Elm. This was just collected from the backyard, and it's doing quite well, and it's pretty highly tapered trunk. It originally had a trunk growing up here, and it died off, and then it kind of grew around that section. There's a big cut here that'll heal over someday. So I think this was the front of the tree, but that could change. Well, maybe this is a little better, I think, even though you lose that interesting feature here. It could change. So I think for now I'll prune it up like this is the front. So here I go. So again, I'm always looking for buds, and there's a stub here. I'll prune that away. There's buds all over here. So I'm going to shorten this one off to there. There's a stub here. This one, you can see, this one had really compact buds. These ones, there's a bud here, one here, one here. So they're spaced out quite a bit more. So I think this is probably my best bud, so I'll prune back to there. This one, there's a stub here. And I've got a good outward facing bud up here to there. Still fairly tall, but if something pops out down lower, I can prune these branches back in the future, or someday do a hard prune on it. This branch, I've got, there's a bud on the inside here, there's one on the outside way up here. There's some buds popping out on the branch down lower. There's a side bud here and one here. So I think I'm going to take it off to that bud out here. Bit of a hard prune on that branch, but I've got a good outward facing bud there. This branch, I've got buds here, here. I'll take it off here. There's a branch pointing towards the inside here. I can take that out. Don't want that. And then on this branch, I've got a stub here I can clean up. This branch is kind of a bit of a strange, it comes out and then curves upwards. I've never really liked it, but it grew like that, so I will leave it for now anyway. The top of this branch, I've got buds here. I got a bud here. I think and a bud on the side. I think I'll prune it off to here. Taking the top off. And there's a branch here. I've got a bud here. One at the back. One here. I'll take it off to at least here. And I may come back, and this one I have a bud on the front here, down on the thicker part. There's not much else until I get way up high there. Oh, there's one out the back here. Tough call. I think I'll take it to that one facing out the back, and if this bud grows, then maybe I can prune it back shorter in the future. So there is a look at the tree. Now, I'm just going to have a look at the styling and decide if there's any adjustments I need to do. That curvy branch here, I could take it off, just having the 1 liter, or I could do kind of a hard prune on it and hope something pops out down lower. It's a bit of a strange branch, the way it curls up like that. Everything else in this tree is very angular. I don't know whether to leave it. Maybe I'll leave it and just see what happens. I could prune this back a little harder. I've got a bud down here. I will. Even this one's a little long. I got a good bud here. I'll take it back further. Like that. This one's pretty long too. I do have a bud on the inside back here. There maybe is a bud here. There's definitely one here. Tough call. I better take it back a little shorter. And this one, it's getting pretty long too. It's kind of the highest point on the tree, whereas this is my main kind of trunk line. I do have, I think, a bud there. Oh, there's definitely a bud there. I'll take it off here. This branch I do have, there's a bud here and one here. I could take that off shorter also. And this one, I've got a bud on the inside. But that's pretty low. I better leave that. I think I'll leave it like that. And the front may change on this tree. You know, maybe something like this is a better front. Or even something like this. Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. But I think that's pruned up. I will seal these cuts up also. It never hurts. I think that's good. So that is my little American elm pruned up. When I first dug this tree up, I wasn't sure what kind of elm it was, but now the leaves are very fuzzy and papery feeling, just like my bigger American elm, so it's definitely an American elm, this one. The next tree, I'm not sure exactly what it is. It has pointy buds, and it gets really nice fall colors, so it's yeah, it's quite a nice looking tree in fall. You can see I've done some prunes here, and it's reacted quite well to pruning, and it's getting a fairly thick trunk. It's kind of got a triple trunk structure to it, which is a bit unusual, but yeah. So I'm trying to see, I'm looking for buds. There's a few up top. I'm not seeing too many down low. I guess there's one here, one there. So I'll prune it up and I'll try and find out what kind of tree it is. So I'll just show you the lower part of the tree because I'm going to prune it quite short. There is a bud here, definite bud there. There's one here. I'll start by pruning it off here. Take my stub off here, like that. On this branch I have a bud here, and I think, I'm not sure. There's one up here. I think I'll take it off to this one, quite short, like that. This branch or trunk, I definitely have a bud here, and I think here. There's a dead branch on the inside here. I better take it off quite short. I definitely have a bud there, so I'll prune it here. A bit of a Hail Mary cut, so here I go. Taking the top off. And then this branch, It looks like buds here. There's definitely a bud here. I'll try taking it off here. Taking that off. And then I've got a lot of stubs to clean up here. So I will do that. That's one stub cleaned up. This one can be cleaned up. That one's being cleaned up. Okay. That might be all I want to do to that tree for today. So I will also seal those cuts up. They were pretty big. Where I prune these stubs back. Some of these branches were fairly thick too. Especially this one. And here. And we'll do the ends on this branch. That's where that one's done. Okay, so that tree is all cleaned up, ready for spring.
I get a lot of questions about why do I prune it at this time of the year and not spring. And the reason is, if I prune it at this time of the year, I find the buds, dormant buds, kind of develop over the winter or early spring. So when spring comes, it's just ready to go. If you prune it back like this in spring, it takes a while for these dormant buds to kind of swell up and develop. And I think it's better to do kind of a fall pruning or winter pruning rather than a spring pruning. Plus, you don't get bleeding on the trees. The trees are dormant, so these cuts kind of heal themselves over the winter, and when spring comes, it's just ready to grow. So that's why I prune it this time of the year. Before I put the tree back on the bench, there's a weed in here I want to get rid of. There, I got it out by the roots. Yeah, it's a good opportunity to just kind of clean up your trees, get rid of any weeds. Oh, there's a few more weeds here too. And there's one over here. There. Okay, so that's ready to go back on the bench now. The next tree I'm going to prune up is my Russian olive. And you can see it grew quite compactly this summer. I got a few shoots running up, but nothing too major, and that's because it's in a fairly small pot. We had a hot summer and it dried out quite quickly. This tree is quite thirsty, but it survived and it looks like all the branches did well. So there's not a lot of pruning to do on it, but there is some. So let's prune this tree up. So I'll start up top. There's a few shoots that grew really, really well. So I think I'll take, there's a bud here, there's one here pointing to the back. I think, because it's in the apex, I'm going to take it back quite short. And then this tall one here, I've got a bud out the back, one on the inside. I'll at least prune it to that one out the back. Shortening that. Oh, there's Kitty back. This one I've got a bud facing outwards here. I can prune it back to there, and I'll take my stubs out. I think I'll get the small scissors for this. I've got quite a few pruning stubs to clean up on this tree. This one I got buds here and here. I'll just take the tip off. This branch, I got buds down here, one here, one on the inside. I better take it back quite hard. Stub here. This branch, I don't know if that one survived. Maybe it did. Still feels flexible, so I'll leave it. This one is an outward facing bud here. I can prune it back, the tip off. There is a dead branch here. Take that off. And one here. I think that one's dead, maybe not. I don't
don't know, I'll leave it. Some of these, like this one's definitely dead. You can see it's changed color and it's brittle. Stub here, I'll clean out. Like that. Now, there's one growing upwards here. I think that one died off, which is probably a good thing. I'll clean up some stubs here. This one can be pruned back. I've got a bud back further, so I'll take the tip off it. Maybe a little shorter. This one, I can take the tip bud off. I think I could take this one back further. There's a bud back here. It's a little long. This branch is dead here. I think that's pruned up quite well. Maybe this one growing vertically could be pruned away. This doesn't really flow, does it? Maybe this one too. It's kind of growing vertically. There's a stub here I can prune away. A little straight this lower branch, but I think it'll make sense as the tree gets thicker. I can take this bud tip off here, this tip bud off there, this tip bud, this one. I could take this vertical one off. I think it's dead anyway. I think that's pretty good. I think it's pruned up. It's a nice little tree. I like it. It's, you know, very small, the size of my hand, or the height of my hand. Yeah. Okay, so that's pruned up. And maybe next year it'll go in a slightly bigger pot, but I don't know. I don't want it to grow too rapidly and, you know, get thick, long, coarse growth on it. I want it to grow finely, so maybe it's fine in a small pot. So that's pruned up, ready to go back on the bench. The next tree I'm going to prune up is my Nightshade Vine. So you can see the long extensions, and it flowered and had berries on it in fall. It looked quite nice. There's a few branches that died back, but generally it did quite well. And there's some suckers growing up from the base here that I'll have to prune away. So let's get it pruned up. Okay, so I think, I'm not really sure where the front is. I think it was here, but I'm not sure. Maybe this was the front. I don't know. The strongest branch is here, or trunk line, so I think that probably should be the front. So I think this branch is dead. You can see it's all withered away. So I'll take that off. Like that. This branch, at least the tip of it died back. There is a bud on the bottom. Maybe I'll leave that. I'll just take the dead bit off the tip. This branch doesn't look good. It's very dried up. I better take that off. Take that back a little further. To there. This one's dead. There's a stub I can remove here. There's a little tiny dead branch here. Rid of that. Some of these branches look dead, but it may be just the tips that are dead because it looks pretty good down lower. This one's definitely dead though. I'll prune away the dead tips and see what happens. Bit of a nasty scar here. Yeah, any dead wood doesn't last long on these trees. It turns very almost powdery. Okay, I think maybe I'll take the tip off this one. I don't know if it's alive even, but I'll take it off to there. I think it's dead, but I think this one's dead too. Better take that off. It's all withered away. Pretty sure this is dead too here, but yeah, it definitely is. There is a bud down lower. I'll just take the tip off. And then in spring I'll see if that's alive and maybe prune it up once again. So now I want to prune back all these long branches up top. So again, I'm looking for buds that are facing the outside. I've got a good one here, one here. If I go up higher, I could prune it. I'll start pruning it fairly tall and decide if I want to prune it back in the future. I got a bud on the outside here. This branch is dead, I can tell. It's all withered away. This one's dead. And this one's dead. There's a bud on the outside here. I'll take it off to here. There's a stub here. There's a bud on the outside here. Take it back to there. This one, there's a bud on the outside down low here. I'll take it back to there. This branch. Better take to this bud on the inside. It's kind of getting crowded to the other branch there. Like that. Now, is that pruning it back far enough is the question. Let's have a look at the styling of it. So I'm just having a look at it. So here is maybe the back. Here's kind of the front. I'd say this branch is getting a little tall. It would look better cut back. I'd better do that. I've got a bud here, one here, one here. So I could take it off to here, I think. Here I go. I think this branch out the back is getting too tall. I got a bud here. I could at least take it off to there. That looks better. I don't mind these ones being a little taller. I think these two branches are dead, but something will sprout out on that. I've got a stub here I could... I better not clean it back. There looks like there's buds still. It's still living, I think. Yeah, I think I better leave the rest of the pruning until spring. See what comes out. And then any branches that are maybe dead, I can prune away. And if there's some good branches coming out, I can maybe make it more compact once it's leafed out. So I think the next step, I've got a little weeding to do, and I want to prune away all these vertical suckers. So I will do that. So I just come in with the scissors and you just prune them back to the root base. And if you leave these grow, it takes away energy from the main trunk. So you want to keep them pruned back throughout the year. Otherwise, with a vine, it might decide, oh, I don't need this old trunk anymore. I'll just grow new suckers up and they'll take over. So you've got to keep the vigor in the main trunk of the vine. So I'm just pruning away all these little suckers growing up. And I think I'll be repotting this tree this spring. I didn't repot it last year. I put it in this bigger pot and it grew a lot better than when I had it in a smaller pot. So I think, you know, this spring I'll do some root pruning and kind of, yeah, give the roots room to grow. I'm quite sure it's pot bound. These vines tend to grow a lot of roots. Okay, the last thing I need to do is some weeding. I've got some, yeah, a few weeds in here. Okay, get rid of all this debris. And then I've got this Irish moss growing in here. I'll rotate the Nightshade Vine around so you can see it from all angles. So here's maybe the front, right hand side, the back, the left hand side, and back to the front. That could change slightly. Maybe more like that as the front there. I'm going to finish off today by pruning up my Crimson Hawthorn. You can see the little hawthorn leaves here. Yeah, it grew quite well. You know, some good extensions on it this year. So let's get it pruned up. So I'm just having a look at the tree. I don't think I've picked a front for this tree yet. I kind of like somewhere here as the front. So I've got, off of this branch, you can see I've pruned the trunk line here. And then I've got a nice branch that kind of reaches upwards, but then I've got a totally vertical section on that branch. I think I'd better take that off. So I'll come in here with the rounded pruners and take it back. I'll just snip it off roughly at first. So here I go, like that. And then I can come in and clean that cut up. Or clean up that branch removal like that. So that's taking care of that kind of vertical shoot. And then I've kind of got another one coming off that branch. So I'll clean up my stub here. That's quite vertical too. I do have a bud on the inside here. If that developed, I could take this whole branch end off. So I think there's a bud here. I could at least take the top off, and that might stimulate this bud to then develop in spring. So I'll do that. Taking that off there. That would get a nice branch here. Then this trunk line, it's getting pretty wide and spreading. It needs to be brought back more compact. I do have buds on the older part of the trunk, one to the right and one to the left here. From the front, this would be coming straight out at you, which isn't quite so good. But I do want to keep this trunk division here. It's a tough call. I'm thinking I should take it back hard, like right back to here. Otherwise it'll get too thick and all my branching is too far out. So I'm going to do that. Here I go, a big cut. Taking the whole top off the tree. Like that. Yeah, big cut, but needed. And then this branch, it's kind of, I've got a shoot reaching upwards here. This one kind of stays horizontal. I got a stub I could clean up, and I'm wondering, I'm looking for buds. I've definitely got one on the top there. I'll take it off to here, like that. And there's a stub here I can clean up. There's a closer look at the tree. So this branch, I've got one at the back, one here. I've got a bud on the bottom here, one on the top. I think I'll take it off to here. This one, I got buds on the top and the bottom. I got one out here. I think that branch is okay. It's not too long. I've got a stub here I can remove. This branch is getting a little long. I think I better take it back to here. This lower branch, I'll take it back to here. This one I'm not going to touch. I will prune the dead tip off. I will leave the one leaf on there. I think that's got it pruned up. Yeah, it's quite a severe pruning in the apex, but I think that was necessary to get, branching, finer branching in the apex eventually. Yeah, so I'll just rotate the tree around so you can see it from all angles. So here's the front, right-hand side, the back, left-hand side, and back to the front. I will seal these cuts up because hawthorns are susceptible to bacteria attacks, fungal issues. So it's always a good idea to seal your cuts on these kind of fruiting trees. Yeah, I think that's got it sealed up. I see one more stub I could clean off here, right here. There. Okay, that is it. I really enjoy growing trees from young and watching them develop over the years. When you're first growing bonsai from seeds or small cuttings and that, it seems like they take forever before they start to look like trees. But you'll find as time passes by, they get more and more mature every year, and they eventually start looking like really nice trees. And when you start from young like this, you can kind of guide the tree. You can decide how big you want to grow it, the shape of it, everything about the tree. It's all up to you. And I like that part of bonsai is, developing it from very small into something that looks more mature. So that is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.